Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. This one is entitled, I Hope It's Stolen. And that's supposed to be heard in stereo, like two people saying the same thing at the same time, kind of thing. This is going back to late 1990s, very, very late 1990s. We'll call it about 1998, probably winter of 1998. Somewhere in there. In maybe 99, can't remember exactly, somewhere in there, but anyway, it was there. I had graduated from high school in 1997, and about a year or so it might have been 99, later, the Whiff and I started getting more involved, shall we say. We had a long courtship dating back from 97 really until 05 when we got married. This was mainly in part due to her mother. Now, I've referred to this and mentioned it from time to time. You've heard Sharky say it also. The phone rings. Well, that was a nothing call, of course. Like I was saying, I've said this a few times and maybe even commented it a few times, and Sharky has as well, the term doo-doo-doo. That's a name that I came up with for Patty's mother. Now, there is an old war story that could probably run for about an hour and a half on her. You'll notice that she has not appeared in any videos. She also moved the fuck away, which is a great damn thing. But anyways, this was when she was still around, and Patty and I were 18, 19, going on 19, something like that, years old. Somewhere in there. And we would go out. We'd see each other, I don't know, once a week, maybe. Maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on schoolwork, because we're both in college. Maybe even once a month. We made time as we could. So we saw each other when we could, and it could be on a Tuesday, it could be on a Thursday, it could be on a Saturday. I don't know. It just all depended on when anybody was free. So anyways, here we were. It was the dead of winter, and Patty and I had gone out to a restaurant. Don't know what it was. We went out to eat. Maybe went to a store or two. I don't know. And we came back to my parents' house because, obviously, I was still living at home then. Okay, no big deal. So what did we do at my parents' house? Well, that's actually none of your business. Well, okay. No, we would go down to the basement and fuck around on the computer for a while. I don't know at this time if she had a cable modem yet. I had one from the early days of cable modems because I worked for The Wiz, which was owned by our local cable company, and got it for fucking free. So anyway, I had that, and she was amazed at the speed, so we'd play on the computer for some time, and then sometimes we'd end up going into my bedroom and things. Now, my parents were cool about this. Pretty much what would happen is it would end up being 10:30 to 11:30 at night or so, I think in these days, and it was time for her to go. Because she had to go to school the next day or something. I don't remember exactly what the schedule was. So I, send her out the front door, and that was that. And then kind of went back into my room. And a minute or so later, the doorbell rings at 10:30, 11:30 at night. And it's the Whiff. And she says to me, Do you remember where I parked my car? I said, didn't you park down that way, just like a house or two across the street? She said, that's what I thought. I just walked up and down the block and my car isn't here. I said, what? Hold on. Got my shoes on, got a coat on because it's cold out. And I go outside and I look up and down the block. And she says, I could have sworn I parked it right here. And we turned and looked at each other dead in the face. And at the same time, we both said, I hope it's stolen. Do you understand the power of that statement? You would rather your car be stolen than what was gonna fucking come. Have you ever heard the expression, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned? You didn't have to scorn this bitch. She was just fury. Always. So, here's the details of what happened. My dad is cheap. Dirt cheap. The heat is on 58 degrees in the house because it's warmer than outside and the pipes won't freeze. You'll freeze inside. That's too bad. But the pipes won't freeze and it's still warmer than outside, so fuck you, the heat's on. Okay. Lights? What lights? There's no lights on. Now, Doot-de-Doo in her house would have the lights on in the front of the house. She had a little lamp in a side window that she'd turn on. God forbid you get one of them plug-in timers to just save you the fucking trouble every day of turning it on and turning it off the next morning. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that. There was a light in the backyard of that house that was on like a motion sensor kind of thing. So that would go on and off as needed. And God forbid that light ever went on and she happened to notice. Which wasn't easy due to how the windows were in that house and where you'd end up being. But whatever. My dad didn't believe in this shit. So you've driven past houses and they don't have their outside lights on at night. I don't want to live that way and I don't live that way. I have the lights on outside overnight. Just kind of makes it look like somebody's home. My dad didn't care. They weren't going to break into that house because it didn't look like it was a house you wanted to break into. But the lights in the house were also off. The only light that was really in that house was maybe in the kitchen, like the little light in the vent hood over the stove. And the light in the living room that was on was the TV. And the blinds were shut. Everything was closed down. It's nighttime. So the house looked dark. Apparently, Doot-de-Doo didn't like what the fuck was going on here. I'll use that term fuck loosely. For some reason, she decided that she wanted to go and see where Patty was and what was going on, and she just like, I don't know, she just went, somebody like lit a fuse in her head and to like a bomb, and it fucking exploded. So here's what happened, okay? We found this out later, so I'll tell you the details now so you can understand the significance of I hope it's stolen. This was Patty's car, and she paid the insurance on it, but it was still like her parents had a set of keys, and it might need to be moved, and you never know what the deal is. So it was just there, and she had this bomb go off in her head that it would be a good idea to drive past my parents' house and bring her brother along, and the extra set of keys. She talked him into stealing his sister's car. They went with another set of keys, opened up the car, started it up, and they drove it back to her house, and that was it. So that way, when Patty went out, her car wasn't there, and then the bomb that has the fuse like ready for it to explode, then the bomb could go off. Patty ended up staying the night at my parents' house with me, and the next day, the shit hit the fan. The shit hit the fan. No, daughter of mine is, and she got the fucking 9 yards, the whole thing. And she locked herself in her room. She had a lock on her door. I didn't have that at my parents' house. She locked herself in there and said, I'm not going to tolerate this shit. So I had driven her over there during the day, the next day, and her dad was home. Her dad's fine. Her dad was cool with all this when he was still with us. And he was like, your mother is fucking crazy, you know? He agreed that this should have never happened, and why it was not within his power to stop this, I don't know. Sometimes she just sort of like knocks people out of the way to get what she wants, and continues to do so to this day. So she went and stole her daughter's car using her son as the driver. And that was that. So now she's screaming fucking all kinds of shit. And Patty said, well, fuck this. And she opened the window in her bedroom and jumped out the window. It was the first story, first floor. But it was still a decent jump. She jumped out the window and ran to the next block where I was parked, so this way my car wouldn't be seen. And on that block, it so happened that her grandparents lived there. Her grandfather, her grandmother had passed away and got remarried, and basically because of the shit that was going on at home, she had nowhere to stay, and I couldn't really ask my parents for her to stay there. That kind of wasn't really right in this part of this early-ish on in the relationship. And remember, this is all due to fucking Doo-Doo going fucking crazy off of nothing. She had no anything to go on. She just thought they might be fucking. Or something. I don't know what was going through her fucking head. I still don't know. She's fucking whacked out of her fucking mind. Totally whacked out of her fucking mind. And there are so many stories, but not now. Anyway, so she ended up, she and I had gone and rang her grandfather's doorbell, and they opened the door and let us in. And she kind of explained what was going on and said, is there any possibility I can stay here? And they said, of course you can stay here. We just have to clean out the other room here, and it'll take, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And they had, there was a spare bedroom, so there's shit on the bed there just because, and they cleared it off and put it in other rooms or did whatever they had to do, and she stayed there. So now, how do you keep in touch with people when your cell phone has 20 minutes of service a month? Yeah, I'm not kidding. In these days, she had a phone for emergencies where she could make a phone call and say, okay, I'm on my way home, or something like that. And I think incoming was free, but outgoing charged by the minute or something. So 20 was the number they had, because the next up was like 200 minutes, and that was like way more. I think this cell phone was like $20 a month back in the late 90s, which actually was pretty reasonable, but for only 20 minutes of talk time. Now, nowadays, everybody has unlimited talk and text. I mean, that's like the de facto standard for pretty much practically everything out there for the most part, at least in the U.S. But back in those days, it wasn't. So she had her cell phone and the charger. She jumped out the window with the charger, and that's all she had. She did have a laptop, and later on, the next day, she waited until her mother went to work, and her dad would get home around 1 in the afternoon, but her mother wouldn't get home till, about 5. So she could go and spend good time with her dad and make sure to leave the house, go back to her grandparents before 5, and, that's that. Now, in these days, we had AOL as our online service. That's what you had, and over there at the grandparents' house, there was no high-speed internet, so it was dial-up. And she may have still been on dial-up at home, I think. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. At this point, I think I had a cable modem, yeah, but they were still on dial-up, and it was acceptable in those days, so that was that. And she went to sign on to her AOL, and it wouldn't let her sign on. So she called me, and she says, I can't get on my AOL, so I have no way to contact you. I said, "What? Huh? Really?" So I said, okay, listen, I got to do something here just to see. Give me your password. Because I had to see this for myself. Was it just something with the laptop? With the grandparents' phone line? The number that it's dialing for AOL? Like, what's going on? I try logging in. Nope. Sorry. Doo-doo-doo had Patty's brother go on to AOL, and he was like the master account, which was a no-no. But he was the one who knows about computers. He does, so that's fine, and whatever. I was the master account back in the day with our dial-up AOL, and going forward even with cable modem service. And anyways, she made him, just like she made him steal his sister's car, made him disable her account. I'm not shitting you. So this way, she cut off her internet access as well. So I said, well, we're going to have none of this bullshit. Fuck that. Absolutely not. So I said, you're going to have to make a new username, at least a temporary one, and I'll put it on our account. And that's what we did. She was 20 at the time, I think. So it was Patty 20, but it was Yatap, Patty backwards. So it was Yatap 20 or something like that. And that's how she was able to get online. Now, if she was dialed in on that, nobody else could get onto AOL in my family, because that's how it worked in those days. But that's what we did. And details are very vague. She used to go and see her father, like every day. And it was very tough for her to concentrate on schoolwork with all this shit going on. And it actually culminates in an interesting way. She had seen her father like every day, and he's begging and pleading her to come home. Patty wasn't ready for this, so she ended up staying at her grandparents' house for 2 weeks and used the AOL account I had set up for her, which, like I said, was a temporary thing, and that's been disbanded a long time ago. Anyways, she wanted to, I'm trying to remember exactly where I was going with, oh yeah, somehow the mother found out through, I think through the brother, because she emailed him and said, I'm okay, I'm at grandparents' house, and whatever, so at least he wouldn't worry. But that was bad because, hey, look, I got an email. It wasn't on a phone, it was on the computer. We didn't have that back in them days, so that was that. So anyways, she said, oh, let me get that email address. Wrote it down, and now she sends an email out with the house rules. I was forwarded a copy of this back in the day. That email is long gone. Long gone. It was not a happy email. You may have heard the term nastygram as far as an email goes. Maybe even as far as the text goes, but they probably have other names for that. Anyways, this was a nastygram email. And this was like a level above a nastygram. Nastygrams are the things that you don't want to ever receive, but sometimes you do. Mainly in a job, but this was more of like a "you're fired" email. The one you never want to receive. You can usually take care of the nastygrams by the skin of your teeth, so to speak. But this was like a "you're fired" kind of deal. Bad. Very, very bad. I remember going over to the parents' house, and the mother showed up or something, and I was there, quote-unquote, to protect her, Patty, you know, to protect her from her mother. Like, I was ready to beat the shit out of her. I didn't care, because this is my girlfriend, you know. It's not, you're not fucking getting in my way. This is love. You don't fuck around with that, you know. So, anyway, the mother is screaming her head. No, this was at her grandfather's house. I fucked that all up. The father went over to the grandfather's house, and maybe they had her on the phone or something, and the father is pleading, please come home, please come home, please come home. And I don't remember how this ended up all working out, but the mother was just a total fucking raving lunatic for the lack of the many, many more words I have that I can't even go to express right now. Anyway, end result with all of this is we didn't see each other as much as we used to, but that was kind of more of a short-lived sort of thing. Maybe after like 2 or 3 months that we were back to the old stuff. And, you know, there's no reasoning with Duke-to-Do. Absolutely none. I have long maintained that she has a mind that's not only closed, but locked. And you've ever heard of, like, slipping a piece of paper under the door? No. This shit is, like, fucking hermetically sealed. There is no way to get an idea in that fucking head. No way. It's her way. And I've said this before. You've heard the expression, it's my way or the highway? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Not with her. With her, it's my way, and there is no other way. So you don't even have a choice for flight. You don't have a choice. It's my way, and fuck you. No, you didn't. Nuh-uh. That shit does not fly. And that's how she lives. Fuck her. Don't give a shit. So what happened because of all this? Well, remember I said that Patty was not doing well in school because of this. She ended up dropping out of a class, and it wasn't all her mother's fault. Okay, it was. The teacher sucked. It was a very difficult class, and it was just a really bad time for this to happen. So her college years was extended by another year because she had to go and retake this class that was needed for her degree. So that means that, because I had planned to marry her all along, so now that pushed that by another year. I'm going to need a house, that pushed that by another year. So my life ended up getting fucked because if I had purchased this house a year prior, I probably would have paid a lot less for it. The market had gone and housing prices were fucking skyrocketing. Absolutely skyrocketing. So everything was delayed by like a year or two because of that. And if I could have bought earlier, it would have cost a lot less. So she inadvertently fucked my life up. And I'm not hurting from it anymore, but I'm still fucking sore about it. So anyway, I don't know how this ended up, that she ended up going back home. But she did, eventually, until it was time for her to just move the fuck out and not deal with that shit anymore, which wasn't that much farther in the future. And I guess I could tell an old war story about that, but that'll be for another time. So, with all of that being said, do you understand how Patty and I both looked at each other in the face and said, I hope it's stolen? That would have been the better outcome. Can you believe that shit? Can you fucking believe that shit? This is the kind of shit that I have to live through. But doo-doo is mostly out of my life, and I couldn't be happier about that, so that's that. And that's going to bring this old war story to a close. Not a happy one, still a very, very sore subject. Oh, and just for shits and grins, there was actually another time where something similar to this happened. There's other details to that story, but because of all of this, I always hated her mother, especially because of this, but then even more so. And I've always maintained that. I was, I put on a nice front, and I was nice and congenial, but other than that, it was not a happy time at all. So that fucked her life over, fucked my life over, and here we are today. We're not fucked over by that, but it's still a sore subject, and to this day, her mother has been told the story back and what happened to her, what happened to Patty, and has maintained never to apologize for the hell that she hath caused. To this day. And that other incident that I mentioned with other details to that, never apologized for that either. This goes back to that closed and locked mind, where she's right, even though the entire rest of the world says she's wrong, but the mind is locked, so fuck all of you. It's my way and there is no other way. Nope. Not in my life. Don't work that way. There's always the highway. You don't want to get to that point. And there are other ways. But you don't want to get to the highway. Anyway, that's it. A horrible, horrible story that still hurts to this day to tell, but it needed to be told. And as far as you do, fuck you, get Calderona, rot in hell, set yourself on fire, fuck you, die, I don't care. Get out of my life and get out of your fucking daughter's life. Ah, that felt good. I hope she doesn't see this. Actually, I hope she does. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.